What it do, Knicks fans? What it do, Knicks universe? What it do? KOD Nation, stand up. And all you DJs, wake up and get your coffee. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, January 13th. I am your guy, Hector, and I'm chilling with my bros like always, Phil, and the one and only Jiggle Man Porto. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
What up? What up? What up?
What up?
Chilling, baby.
Chilling, hanging out, getting ready to chill with some friends today in the morning and have this open panel, talk Knicks. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, coming off a win, which I know we got a lot to talk about with that. Isn't it crazy how we can talk about Knicks basketball even 2 days after the game? Like, yeah, I still have so much to say about that game. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's dope. We got Cashes and Smoove coming up today to chop it up with us. And I love their insight on stuff too in Twitter Spaces. So it'll be good to really start this open panel day with these guys and get things rolling and kind of just shoot the shit. No swear jar for me.
No swear jar. No swear jar. No swear jar. Even though the lead up to it may lead to it, but no swear jar. But I'm super excited about today's episode. Shout out to my man Bones is in the chat. Bones,
what up, my guy?
Baby, my man. What it do, my guy? Eric Wallace is in the building. Also, EY, what it do, baby? Appreciate you, my guy. Chris Joseph. Happy Friday, Knicks family. Absolutely, boys. Like you said, Jigga. Even if it's 2 days after a game, we can still talk about our team. We can still talk about our boys. I would like to give a quick shout out to Queen Steph from the Queen's Court, a part of the NBK family over there with Uncle Fulio and my guy Sims. She had an amazing take last night, and I felt like, you know what? Let me share it, and let's have the conversation. But before I share it, I want to give her all the credit in the world for coming up with this, right? So if you guys haven't, make sure you guys tune into Steph in the Queen's Court. Make sure you tune into MBK, our guys over there, Sims, our guys over there, Uncle Fulio, and like I said, Queen Steph, because she had an amazing take. She said the addition of Jalen Brunson, right? Now, fall back and listen to entirely what I'm going to say, what she said. She said the addition of Jalen Brunson, right? It didn't put the Knicks into championship contention. It's not putting the Knicks into championship contention. What it did do was that window that's been closed that we have to shimmy and we haven't been able to push up because we just been just a horrible franchise for years and years and years. That championship window, once we got Jalen Brunson, opened up just a little bit, right? She didn't say it put us into championship contention. What she did say is that the addition of Jalen Brunson opened up that window for more pieces to come in, right? And hopefully the front office notices this and gets the right pieces to put around them, right? Julius Randle is having a phenomenal season. He's ranked, I think, in the top 3 when it comes to minutes played. When it comes to efficiency, his efficiency is a hell of a lot better than it was a couple of seasons ago. Knick fans, we say it every episode. Vote for your boys and get them to Utah. Vote for Jalen Brunson and get him to Utah. Vote for Julius Randle and get him to Utah. What do you guys think about what Queen Steph said?
Yeah, for me, this is the thing is I've waited a real long time to see a Knicks winning franchise. Like growing up, Knicks fans. Adulthood, Knicks fans. And there's been a lot of disappointment, and a lot of frustration. And I think what happens when you get to that point of frustration, you kind of just want it now, and I feel like Knicks fans are hangry. A lot of us are hangry. And when you're hangry, you just want to eat. You're like, I want to eat right now, And so when you see that the food's being made, a lot of people don't want that. They just want to go into the cupboard. They want to grab something. Give me something now. But that's not always the best meal. That's not always the best thing that's going to satisfy you. It might satisfy you in that moment, but not in the long term. And so what we have to realize is right now we're starting to cook. Getting Jalen Brunson here, like she said, is cracking that window for something more, for us to actually be able to bank on this for seasons to come instead of just getting a little token of satisfaction and then disappointment again. So I'm excited for it. I love that we have the main ingredient for our meal, and now we can just start throwing in more seasoning as we go, finding the right pieces to put around him. But that dude right now, if you look at the stats on, I believe it was ESPN, he is top 4 point guards right now in the East, like top 4. And this dude is cooking, and that's with being out for injury. That's, with a lot of other things that have happened. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited, and I'm actually content with where we're at right now. Like, no, it's not we're going to win a championship. I'm not delusional like that. But we are at least going to play hard, and we are going to get some of the respect that New York deserves that we've lost in years past.
Not only, and I'll throw the Jigger Man right after, not only is Jalen Brunson top 4 point guards, right, in the NBA, Jalen Brunson is top 4 when it comes to points scored and clutch moments. So when it comes to closing out the game, when it comes to us being behind certain points, he ranks 4th behind Shea and a few other guys when it comes to those type of points. Go ahead, Jigger. Sorry to cut you off, bro.
Nah, you didn't cut me off at all, man. I'm taking it in, right? First, I listened to Phil. For some reason, that analogy was so good, but I also walked away hungry. Like, I feel like I want to eat. Like, I see people in the chat. Julian's in the chat said, we need 2 more ingredients off the bench for that pot. Listen, at this point, just give me something to eat, all right? I'm starving. But I did like that take, though. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think it's a little too far-fetched that the championship window's opening, right? Because we know we still have a lot of holes. But we've talked about what Jalen Brunson has done by being here is it's given us a chance to see the young guys we were begging to see play. We've been able to see the pieces we have, what might not work, guys that we no longer speak of on the team. It's just we're able to see realistically what we really need. And someone in the chat said it. Jonathan wrote, Randall is playing better now that he doesn't have the pressure on his shoulders. All around. I mean, the man's playing, all-star ball. No question about it. Right? So, I agree with the take on the fact that we are now – I feel we're showing that we are a place that people might want to come. Right? Yeah. Those agents now are really going to be like, you know what? They got something good over there with Captain Clutch, So it's like it's a lot. And then they're like, yo, if Julius plays like that, team ball, it's intriguing. People might want to actually come back to the Garden. I'm just happy we're getting the respect back. That's what we
what up, Dougie?
Doug in the chat, what up, my guy?
No, 100%, bro. And I just want to echo what you just said when it comes about getting respect, right? And like Jonathan pointed out, Julius Randle, the reason he's playing the way he's playing is that he doesn't have to shoulder all that pressure, right? He doesn't have to worry about, okay, nobody's scoring, I have to score. Having Jalen Brunson, the type of play that Jalen Brunson has been for us, has been a breath of fresh air, right? Because besides Ray Felton for a season, maybe 2 seasons, right? Besides the Linsanity moment for a couple of weeks, right? Besides, Stephon Marbury for 3 seasons on bad teams, right? Besides those 3 players, Jalen Brunson has been the best. Include those players if you want. The best point guard we've had over the past 20 years, right? Over the past 20 years, the one thing that this team has been desperately needing is this type of point guard. A point guard that knows his role, a point guard that can score when he needs to score, and a point guard who can lead a team. That's the important thing. Next to Julius Randle, being there, like I said, the buffer between Julius Randle and the referees. When you see Julius Randle starting to get riled up, the first person next to him is Jalen Brunson.
Yep. And to Jonathan's point, Randall playing better now that he doesn't have the pressure on his shoulders. So I think that was a lot of like self put on pressure. Like we all have that friend in life that no matter what, they are the person that they feel like they have to solve everybody's problems. Like even if the people haven't asked you to solve their problems, like, oh, you're going through something? Let me break it down, how it can be fixed because I'm a fixer. And I feel like that was him, like not that.
No, I thought you were talking about mom for a second, bro. I was like, yo, what are you doing, homie? Mom
I wasn't gonna throw shade, bro. I wasn't gonna throw shade. But Julius Randle was that kind of player, where it was like, oh, I got to be the fixer. I have to be, and even in moments where he didn't have to be, he would try to do that kind of stuff, and it always caused problems. And now that Jalen Brunson's there and everyone knows that he's that guy, Julius Randle can't really step up with that let me fix things mentality anymore, because we actually have someone that can fix it. So we don't need someone who subpar can do it to step up anymore.
You know what, though? But I realize too, Phil, everybody talks about the stellar play of Julius Randle, but I think people need to give him a little bit of credit. The fact that he could have easily gone the other way with this, right? Like, I don't care that JB's here. I'm still going to do what I want to do, that ISO ball, that solo mentality. But the fact that he decided to say, you know what? I am going to step back and fit into that role like a leader's supposed to. I am going to step back and work with a team and let these guys. Guys, I said it the very first episode, right? When I see that man high-fiving these guys, when I see him walking by IQ and giving a 5, when I see him tapping a little good game, a little butt action on the guys, I'm like, okay, this man is playing team ball. To me, that is taking it so much to another level when it comes to his game this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I also think it was like a have to. You know, when you bring a guy in like Jalen Brunson, you're definitely saying something to the franchise. Like, hey, what we had wasn't really working. We need a piece that's actually going to make it work. And I think as much as Tibbs loves him and stuff like that, if Randall would have given full pushback, I think there would have been repercussions from the front office because they were banking on Jalen Brunson. They brought his dad in. They brought like a package, you know? So they were saying, okay, you've been here, Randall. We care about you, but Brunson's got to be that guy. So he kind of had to. And you see that he still wrestles with that from the day to day. Like, he's coming around, but there are moments like last game where he starts playing bad and he kind of checks out for quite a bit, you know, and then luckily he came back and made that defensive stop, which made us not want to fully crucify him for like the 2 quarters of bad play that was there. But he kind of has to, you know, he kind of has to. So I'm thankful that, you know, he at least connected with Brunson. That's the important thing, because it wasn't just that he had to play second fiddle, but it's that Jalen Brunson came in with true leadership and made that connection and that friendship to the point that he's working with Randall even on his temperament. And Randall's able to say, this guy balances me out. So I think that kind of helps him fall in line, is because it's not just player respect or player needing to respect, but actual mutual like respect as people that has helped Julius Randle kind of take that back seat a little bit.
Yeah, and to add on to what Kenny Payne was saying right here, right, when he's like Randall was never the problem. When you look at last year, right, and I agree with Kenny Payne 99%, right? The only 1% that I have that's objectable to that was the way that he handled his interactions with the fans last year when things got rough, right? I don't blame him for that, right? Because Knicks fans, they're horrible. We love DSJ, but DSJ loves to troll, right? So Knicks fans, they're just trolls, you know? But when it comes to these 2 seasons, when it comes to the 3 seasons that we've just had with Julius Randle, the year that he made it to the All-Star, right? It's not Julius Randle's fault that Alfred Payton is a starting point guard, right? Last year, it wasn't Julius Randle's fault that during the season they decided, you know what, Alex Burke is going to be this point guard for the rest of the season because Alex Burke is the best point guard option we have. First of all, somebody drug test Tom Thibodeau after he said that. That's the one thing that I wanted last season after he said
it. It's in his contract, bro. You cannot.
What is this man talking about? I was like, listen, I know you're by 34th Street and you like to hang out with the train stations, but my man, stay off that stuff. But this season, at the addition of Jalen Brunson, it really shows you how big of a hole we had at point guard spot, right? Just having Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle and both RJ Barrett are playing at the peak of their career. Julius Randle is having the best season he's had in his career, better than a couple of seasons ago. RJ Barrett, I understand he just came back, but when you look at his stats, this is the most points he's averaged in his career. He's averaging 20 points per game. Julius is averaging 20 points per game. Jalen is averaging 20 points per game. When was the last time the Knicks had 3 players that were averaging over 20 points per game? I don't see it. I don't remember it. Oh, Port Authority, Port Authority. Well, Port Authority got the good stuff. I ain't gonna front. Port Authority, they do got that good stuff, right? Poppy coming off the boat and everything.
All right, guys. All right. So we love what we do here on the show, but a huge part of the Knicks fan base comes from Knick Twitter. Like, we can't deny the amount of crazy rooms that, you know, we have seen spark up in the last few years of just Knicks fans talking Knick fandom. And Knicks fans going at each other at times and drama. And, you know, your timeline's just full of stuff that you used to see in, like, the high school hallways and stuff like that. But now that's Knick fandom. And a lot of that, you know, is great. We get to kind of even – What I love about fandom is if you shut up and you kind of like watch a little bit, some people's takes, whether you agree with them 100% or 50%, they can really shape you into a smarter fan. Like they can help you understand what you're watching a little bit more if you just stop talking for a second and listen for a second. And one of the first groups that I really, really connected with, I jumped into a space and there was two guys and they were kind of just spitting in someone else's space. And then they mentioned their space coming up and I joined their space. And I instantly connected with these guys, like instantly, as if they were just like homies that I grew up with on the block. And so as we've continued to grow, these are two guys we had to have on the show. So I want to bring up our boys, Cassius and Smoove from the Knicks Players Club. And these guys are incredible. So let's bring them up, chop it up.
Fellas, what's good?
What it do, baby? Good morning.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? What's good? Shout out to you guys, Phil, Jigga, Heck, my boy Smoove. You already know what it is, man. You guys are making great points, man, and appreciate you guys bringing us up on the show. But as Phil was stating, man, the way we run the Players Club, it's a place where, you know, everybody's opinion matters, because at the end of the day, what my goal and our goal is to try to figure out some kind of common ground, right? Gain perspective on both sides. That's why I like staying in the middle. I like, you know, shaking ass is the Twitter term, or toxic is the Twitter term. I like staying right in the middle to where, you know, I can gain perspective on both sides and make logical takes, you know, and takeaways from this team. But that's just how I feel, and appreciate you boys for having us on, man. What's going on?
Nah, super excited. Smoove is good. First of all, before Smoove's talk, I gotta let people know. Anytime I see somebody in a car, on their phone, on a panel, I already know they about to come with facts, right? They spitting straight facts, no fax machine. Go ahead, Smoove.
Yeah, and he got that perfect angle too, right? You got the hat, the jersey. Smoove is ready to go. He came in smooth.
Normally you see guys in their car ranting because they just came from divorce court and they got that divorce dad energy. But I know Smoove is gonna come with that fire.
He's a pro. Like this dude, a lot of people will join and you'll listen on Spaces and they're like, "Yo, I'm talking from work real quick. I'm gonna put my phone down." Smoove doesn't just talk from work. This dude runs shows while he's working in the car.
That's like, commitment, bro.
That dude's committed. So he's got the angles, he's got everything. So let's hear what you guys move.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for letting us join. You know, Hector, Phil, Jig, my boy Cash, you guys know the vibes. It's definitely an honor. You know, wow. All I can say is, wow, I'm excited about the team. I'm excited about, you know, being on here with you guys. You know, Knicks Twitter, man, as everybody knows, it's toxic. You gotta be on point on Twitter. It's war out there. But I think in all reality, what we want to do is we just want to win. And, you know, right now it's looking good. It's looking real good. But you want to build on these type of opportunities. Right now, we're 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. So definitely, as Knicks fans, right, you know, we're so used to losing at this point of the season. And now that we're actually winning. And it's good to see, man. It's really good to see. And hopefully that we can build and continue on to the success, not only of this team, but the young guys as well.
Facts.
So look, before we jump into full Knicks talk, I want to ask both of y'all, because, you know, we all talk about the Twitter Spaces and y'all doing your thing with the Twitter. Smoove, you be doing these things at work. You be doing it like wherever you at. How do you keep a level head with some of these people that come up and talk, bro? Like there's times I can hear the Cash smirk through the phone and I hear that Smoove. I'm like, oh, they about to roast this guy right here. Like, how do y'all keep such a straight face with some of these takes? Like that's gotta be hard day in and day out, bro. Because some of these takes, I'm like, oh hell no. If y'all gave me the mic, I'd be like, nope, you gotta go. Like I'd be firing everybody on the Twitter Spaces. But I want to ask you guys
that. You gotta.
That said it all.
Listen, yesterday there was a take that Obi was the next Kevin Knox. So it's just. Listen, man.
What about Obi?
What about Obi? You see the jersey, right? So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look, man. When it honestly, you gotta have a good attitude. But regardless of whether you agree or disagree, it's just it's hard to explain, because when we're on Twitter, we're going back and forth. Some people just feel the way they feel, and that's the great thing about the Knicks Players Club, is whether we agree or disagree. What's most important is the fans, right? The people that support the team. And there's some wild takes out there. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
But it's just the way that people feel, and it's Knicks fans, baby.
Right?
Everybody's
Facts.
different.
Yeah.
Facts. Go ahead, Heck. I know you had questions. We were gonna line up. Go ahead, Phil.
No. I want to ask both Cash and Smoove. You guys on Twitter Space. What introduced you guys before we jump into the next conversation? Because I always love to ask, like, how did you get into like becoming a content creator? Myself, I started on Uncle Freezy's and the Blorence Tears families. Moved on to For the Love of the Game with my bros Hardwell and L, and then I ended up over here with my two compadres right next to me. But how did you guys get introduced, whether it's to Knicks Space or just the Knicks community in general online, Cash?
Yeah, so for me personally, like I've never done any kind of content creation or anything like that. I actually used to listen to Angel from Philly, obviously, on KFTV. So I already knew who he was. He already had clout in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as creating content, I really just, because I had a Twitter account. It's really the same Twitter account. I used to make music back in the day, and I haven't opened that thing up in like 12 years. Like, it's just been sitting there, whatever.
That's the same way for me.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there and I'm on KFTV one day because that was like my main source of Knicks information, right? Shout out to them. And then for me, it was just like when I heard that, Knicks Twitter was like this toxic place. And at the time, the team sucked. So I was just like, you know what? We won 37 wins. I'm like, yo, this team ain't shit. Let me see what they're talking about, And then, it was just at the time where Twitter Spaces got introduced. Me and Smoove are the first Knicks post game on Twitter Spaces that has ever happened. And we've been running it over a year. So that's kind of how I got into the game. Just me and Smoove kind of just connected. We're always, on the same page with a lot of things. Like now we don't really have the same take anymore. We look at things in a different lens. But back then, me and him we used to be really aligned. But that's still my guy, man. The best teammate ever, man. So shout out to him and shout out to the Players Club.
Yo, it actually works that you both have different takes, right? That give and take.
Yeah. It's not just an echo chamber of the same take over and over and over again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Speaking of takes, I heard this like crazy take the other day. Cash, I wanted to hear your point on it. So I heard somebody say that Jalen Brunson was not top 4 point guards in the East.
I didn't say that. I said I gotta look at the receipts. I said I gotta fact check this one. I said I'm not ready to say that yet. That's what I said.
So after my text message to you about 30 minutes after that, like where you land on that right now?
I think he's arguably, I'm gonna use arguably, a top 4 point guard in the Eastern Conference. Kid's balling out, man, and I gotta say this, it's just sad because he doesn't have that star power, right? So he's not gonna get the recognition that he deserves, like some of these big names. Because if you think about it, like look at the fan voting, they got Derrick Rose out there, right? Because it's the name, it's the name that matters, right? It's the Coca-Cola or the Dr. Pepper. You're gonna go for the Coca-Cola. I'm not a soda drinker, but that's what my reference is, right? And for Jalen Brunson, he hasn't earned that right yet. He hasn't had that play. I mean, he obviously in Utah, he had that one, nice playoff run and stuff like that. But he's got to earn a little bit more. And once he earns it in this market, he will become a star. But he has to get there first. He have to make the playoffs. They have to make the playoffs interesting for him to earn that star quality name. So he's a household name. Yeah,
that's a good point because as soon as he started cooking last year, and really started making a name for himself, Luka came back, and stepped back into that star role, which kind of eclipsed what Jalen Brunson was doing, without him there. So this is his opportunity to fully lead a team and kind of show who he can be. So I see that.
Yeah. What's your take, Smoove, on Jalen Brunson and how he's been so far this season?
Well, I think the impact on his team is tremendous, right? Because we were starving for a point guard. We couldn't find anyone to get the teammates involved. And it was frustrating as Knicks fans, right? Because we craved that point guard. And, when we started hearing the rumors, I'll be honest, I was one of the first ones that said I wasn't, on the train yet because I needed to see more, right? But when you put him on this team, you see the impact, the leadership, and he wants to win. And that bodes well in the locker room and also in the organization. And the fact that he can score on all 3 levels of the game. He can shoot the 3. He can, score in the mid range, and he has a layup package. And obviously, what he's done for the New York Knicks, I don't think anybody, not even Vegas, had the Knicks winning this many games this early. They had us winning 37 games. They had us winning 37 games the whole year, and we're already at 23, I believe. So the fact that Jalen Brunson is on this team, you just see that he's the closer on this team. And the way that he's playing basketball, the way that he's scoring, making his teammates better, you see it rubbing off on IQ as well. He's averaging 25 and 5 this year. And you see the leadership that is going on in the locker room as well. So you got to give Jalen Brunson the credit. He deserves it. To me, what he's done for this team, not only just on impact scoring, but the leadership. And the biggest thing about him is he has heart. He has heart. And now, he has to be in the top 4 in the point guards in the Eastern Conference. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, some might say he's Smoove. All right, sorry.
No, but go ahead.
Real quick, and I'll throw it to you, Hector, because I don't know if y'all saw yesterday on Twitter. I saw somebody put a comment out how embarrassing it is that we don't have our guys in the All-Star game, and we got all these guys with content and a platform, and no one's putting out. So I took a clip of us the other day and talk about let's get our boys in, and I put it on there. But it's one of those comments, I think it's right, where with us having these foundations, with us building stuff, we got to be the people that lead the charge on that. So I feel like I'm not doing a service if I don't sit here and say, hey, guys, make sure we go. Today's 3 times the votes. How the heck do we not have our guys in? This one who just jumped in Smoove's car right there. We got to get JP in. All right. We got to get Randall in. Like, can you believe that it's going to come down to the coaches voting this man in? Like, it's crazy. 3 times the votes. Go do them. Get it done. And Hector, I don't know if you guys have seen the comments, but I've seen about 3 or 4 questions in there that we're going to use on the open panel today. I came in with other questions, but I seen ones in there. And I think we got the right guys here with us for an open panel to attack these OB questions, to attack what position do we think we really need. Those are ones I want to get to. So chat, just so you guys know, we are going to have open panel here shortly. We'll put the link in so y'all can come up here and learn how it's done, because Cash, Smoove, and Phil, and Heck, they're going to tell you wrong. I just sit here.
No, I'm more nice with it. I agree to disagree a lot of the times, right? But to echo what Smoove was saying, when it came to Jalen Brunson in the offseason and the rumors and everything, Smoove, it's not that I wasn't sold on his basketball ability, because he can definitely ball, right? For me, it's just when it comes to the Knicks, whatever can go wrong, 9 times out of 10 does go wrong. So I was just worried about us putting all this money in cap space into Jalen Brunson, and he get a hang now and can never play ever again, right? So that's what I was worried about, because when it comes to the Knicks, and especially these past 20 years, right, it's like being in an abusive relationship, right? We get a player, they get injured. We get a young kid in Ed Curry, winds up he has a heart ailment that has to make him retire from the NBA. So it's just been a constant roller coaster of disappointment. But the disappointment is gone with Jalen Brunson, like what Smoove was saying. You see it, the impact he has on this team, not just in the box score when it comes to scoring, but like Smoove said, when it comes to being a teammate for Julius Randle, for Emmanuel Quickly, for Quentin Grimes, for RJ, and so on and so on and so on. So the leadership is definitely there. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, and so this will lead to my transition from that. So we got a player like Brunson. We're seeing, that we are starting off well, in a lot of these games. He's doing well. He's helping our team be efficient and making a huge impact. But I said it the other day in my recap. It seems like our games are like the scary movie series, where the beginning of the movie starts off a little bit different, and then halfway you're like, oh, here it goes, same script, like it's all starting to fall apart. Now it's trash again. This movie gave some hope in the beginning, and now we're starting to fall apart. And it seems to be that way in the second half of games way too many times for us. Like that doesn't matter how big of a lead we have, whether it's 20-something, 17, 10, third quarter, fourth quarter we start to fall apart. Now we're either losing by small margins or we're doing everything we can to actually finally pull off and win this game. So for me, a lot of the talk is not so much about the fact that we're winning or losing, but if we're doing so well in the first half, what's it going to take, in your guys' opinions, for that to be something that we see 4 quarters through? Because if we were to play that Bucks game the same way in the second half that we played the first half, easy win. Same with that Mavericks game where we wound up losing with Luka's magician bullcrap because we didn't play the same way in that second half. So what is it, in your guys' opinion, like I know mine, and I'll share that later, but in your guys' opinion, that needs to change in order for us to walk away going, okay, now we know that all 4 quarters of basketball are going to be played the same exact way, and we're going to pull it off easy instead of hoping that we get a win. Cash,
you want me to go first?
Yeah.
So for me, it's pretty simple. They got to share the ball down the stretch. JB can get his bucket whenever he wants, and that's cool. That's fine. But if you want to elevate the team, for me personally, if you want to elevate this team all around and get ready for the playoffs and put trust in your players, your teammates, I should say, in late game situations, and they can pull it out for you, that's going to translate into the playoffs. And that's what I want to see. That's going to translate into situations where, instead of it's either Randall, Jalen Brunson, or RJ, you know what I mean? You instill trust in everybody else, so that elevates everyone. Because in late game situations, there's nothing but hero ball. And that's kind of my issue. Like, they'll start off strong, they're moving the ball, everybody's getting involved, but they go away from that, right? And then for me, that's not inducive of obviously keeping the leads, is why we keep blowing all these leads. There's other reasons why too. I believe it's the exhaustion from playing so many minutes altogether, but not being able to make the defense move and going, like last game, 0-17 or 2 for 17, like that's just something that we just can't have. Like, move the ball, get others involved, right? Make the defense work. If it's just one guy, you're not letting the entire defense work. Those are some of my issues with why they're not a better team. But these are things that I want to point out and critique. So maybe they hear it and be like, you know what? This guy over here knows what he's talking about. Let's go fix these things up. Like, just move the ball. That's it. Jalen, you can get your bucket whenever you want. Make somebody else better, man.
Yeah.
Facts.
Well, the first thing we have to do is be able to make adjustments. We're running the same offense when we can't score. I think what we need to do is start going to the free throw line more. And when these teams are playing zone in the second half, they try to get back into the game. At some point, you're going to have to knock down those shots, right? And that's the part about having Mitch in that lineup when teams are playing zone. Mitch can't score from the three-point line, right? So I think it's important that we use a small ball lineup in those certain situations to where you can stretch the court and you can make some shots down the court. So, and also on defense, why are we playing so much drop coverage against the three-point defense? It doesn't make any sense to me. If a team is hitting so many threes, like Milwaukee, they made 7 threes in the fourth quarter, but we played the same defense. So at some point, you have to run them off the three-point line, and we have to stop trading 2s for 3s. We're always scoring 2-point buckets, but then we're giving up 3 on the other end. At some point, we're going to wind up losing the game, because when you play teams like Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, not only are they going to make jump shots and threes, but they're also going to get those calls as well. So it's important that we stay aggressive also. Like what was his name? Holiday had 3 fouls in the first quarter, but we didn't attack him at the end of the game to get him in foul trouble. So by not attacking him, he was able to make an impact in the game, and then that's why we lost, because he was the one that closed the deal for Milwaukee Bucks. So we gotta just make adjustments accordingly, and we just gotta play smarter basketball. There's too many turnovers. It's always my turn, your turn, and they never come out ready in the second half. That falls on coaching, because the coach has to be able to have his guys ready for the team to play in the second half.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, one thing I noticed, I want to see if you four notice it, is when we go into the half with a lead, why are we coming out in the third trying to shoot threes even when we're missing them, when we could be getting the easy 2 to continue to expand that lead and make it that much harder for the team to come back? Because if we come out the gate from halftime and we notice that we're like 0 for 5 from 3-point, why are we continuing to shoot threes and allowing them to get 2s and 3s to shorten our lead when we could just be getting the ball into the paint letting Jalen Brunson do his layups, letting Julius Randle play bully ball, and expanding that 17 to a 19, to a 21, to a 23-point lead, and make it harder for teams to come back. I feel like we gift them, a little bit by coming out and being like, hey, we're shooting bad from the perimeter, but we're going to keep on doing that. And then allowing them to come back a lot quicker than they should be able to.
Yeah, Phil, you hit it right on the head. And to jump back to what Smoove was saying, when it comes to Tom Thibodeau and his defensive schemes, right? Even when Tom Thibodeau was with the Bulls, right, and he was known as a defensive wizard or whatever, the one way people knew how to beat the Bulls were if you were able to knock down your threes, right? When it comes to Tom Thibodeau, he may be a great defensive mind. He may have brilliant schemes when it comes to the low block and when it comes to that mid-range. But when it comes to defending the three-point shot, Tom Thibodeau and his 3 seasons that he has been here has not showed me that he could put the schemes together to protect against that three-point shot. Like Smoove says, every time in the fourth quarter, we are allowing people to shoot their way back into the game. Right? That can happen, right? You see it for 3 quarters or however you want to put it, the intensity that this team has. And it's great that you play with intensity. It's awesome you play with intensity. Everybody is picking up their man. That's great, right? But if you're doing 4 things out of 5 good, you still got that one that you're doing bad. And the one that we're doing bad with is defending that 3-point shot. That's our Achilles heel. The first year that Tom Thibodeau was here, how many teams missed wide open 3-point shots? A bunch of them. And last year, what happened? They were knocking down those open 3-point opportunities, right? This year, we just have to do better defending that 3-point shot and stopping them from making that run late, whether it's the third quarter or the fourth quarter, because both quarters has given us trouble.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be my answer, right? Like you guys all hit on the head. I mean, literally, like Cash, off your first statement, you already knocked out the first 3, right? I mean, we look tired, obviously, because of the minutes, right? The guys are playing, whatever, and we can use that excuse all we want, whatever. They still got a ball, right? But yeah, they do look tired. But that Pacers game, for instance, we talk about that perimeter defense. We looked solid that first half. Right? When we're not tired, the guys, but then that second half kicks in and every team we're playing knows just that extra pass. Just throw that extra.
I got an analogy for that, right? You know how Floyd Mayweather, it looks like he's losing the entire beginning of the, he looks crazy out there, but he has the higher punching percentage, right? Even though they're a lot lower, he has the higher punching percentage. So he's making an impact every single time, right? And it's kind of the same thing when you think about the Knicks. They're throwing haymakers out there, right? They're going all in the first and second quarter, and then they're gassed out. So by the time, like the other team is just pacing, and then they go for the kill. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, we joked about it on the watch along where I said, listen, I'm going to look at things differently. Today, I'm going to do it based on math, okay? And when we were watching that Pacers game, I said, guys, if we go into the half, what was it, Phil? 27 points. Based on my calculations, how many threes we give up, and look at the last 3 games, we could technically, as long as we have 27 points, walk away with a 7-point win. Everybody in the watch along was dying laughing when we walked away with 6 points. Because I was like, guys, we're going to give up, like we are getting used to, major comeback points in that second half. So to me, I'm like, all right, we're starting to learn. We need to have like 27 plus points in the second half to make up for what we're going to give up. But here's the sad part, though. I always joke about it, and I mean it in a joking way, but also in a sad way, is when I go back and watch a lot of these games, especially ones that we have lead and give up, there is several times that we really can play a whole highlight reel with the circus music, guys. When you're looking at our team sitting there throwing these turnovers, I mean, these turnovers are dumb turnovers, right? Of course, we're going to have those little ones that are going to happen like any basketball team, but man, some of these turnovers are just dumb. Yeah. Right? We're watching it, and it's just like, oh, I'm going to try to make this crazy pass. Come on. Like some of these passes are just dumb. And that's why I feel like the circus music, so many times we can make an entire episode of just because that's how I feel like they play. We eliminate the turnovers. We get better at that free throw line and get to the free throw line. I think we see better results. Yeah, I know we walked away with a 6-point win the other night, but I wasn't happy with the overall game plan that second half.
And I think that's the important factor right there is kind of just, being objective to the win. Because it was an ugly win, right? So how can we get better? Because that's not the type of wins that we want to see. Like, it's a different situation if we're coming back, right? But we were literally giving it up. You know what I mean? And I don't think this team has faced adversity this season. I can't really pinpoint a signature win just yet. They've had some luck this season. So I really do, in order to really, have a clear idea what this team is, I got to see them under some real adversity. Some teams that actually have everyone available. Some playoff teams, stuff like that, because it's hard to gauge for me. Who they are and what they can be without facing that type of adversity for me.
But I also feel in the same note, Cash, is we've also been at disadvantage in a lot of games, right? I mean, we just had that whole run without RJ, right? Then we had JB injured. So it's also, that should be awarded to us as well as Knicks fans, right? Like, hey, we're beating teams without all of our guys. Hey, you beat us without some of our guys. We don't get, and it's funny, as a fan base, we don't get that respect back, right? It's, you guys beat them without so-and-so. Well, why can't we sit there and say, well, you beat us without RJ last week, right? And it's crazy because we haven't gotten to that level, right? But I really feel we're almost there. So I feel like this time next season we could be the team that sits there and be like, man, you only got that win because we didn't have somebody in.
Right, but I think that's the part. I think that's the part of the toxic side that's why they're reserved and shaking ass is what the positive side would be, right? They're so reserved because they, like, for me, right? I don't want to put my name on, hey, this team is good or they're great or whatever, unless I can actually see that they are, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that means competition is the biggest one for me, right? I need to see it against playoff teams. I need to see it like on a not an everyday basis, but on a usual basis that they can actually be competitors in those situations before I can stamp my personal name and be like, yeah, they're solid. They're a good team. So I'm just staying right there in the middle. They're 500 team until proven otherways. That's just how
you brought the shaking ass. Did you guys see the Knicks wall? Sean and them did a whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Sean went a little far with that one. I ain't gonna lie. He might have started something. You might have started something.
Sean went the Sean route.
There's some talking in the streets right now.
But there was a question in the chat, right? And I want to throw it over to Smoove to answer it. But my man Bones, shout out to Bones. He said, I have a question for the brothers on the panel. Being that it looks like we make it the playoffs, my question is, what do you guys think it would take for us to win a series without a superstar? Go ahead, Smoove. I think that's a great question.
Well, first of all, it depends on who we're playing. I think that's going to be a big factor because if you're playing Boston, you're not beating Boston unless they just choke. And that's not going to happen with a great team like Boston. So I think it's important that we stay as the 6th seed because if you play at Cleveland, I think the one thing we would have to do is we're a minus 27 in the second half. That has to change if you want to beat a team like Cleveland, right? Or a team like Philly. So, and your stars have to show up, right? If you look at the history of Julius Randle in the playoffs, it's not that good. But Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, is a whole different animal. You saw what he did.
Villanova dog fight.
Yeah, he has heart, right? So I think that it's kind of hard to judge because a lot of the teams that we beat that are playoff teams, they don't have their best players. So it's hard to evaluate what we would have to do because we don't really play teams with their best players, right? So the coaching has to be able to make an adjustment. There's no way that you're playing, we've seen games where Emmanuel Quickly and Randall are playing 50 minutes in a game. That's not sustainable if you want to win a playoff series, right? So I would say the coaching has to make adjustments. We're going to have to knock down shots also, but in the second half. And we have to continue to move that ball movement from the first half to the second half. And defensively, you have to be able to make adjustments and not let their best player beat you. So, for example, when when Chicago gave DeMar DeRozan the ball, we all knew who was getting the basketball. Yep. You cannot let that happen. You got to let somebody else beat you. If Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic hits a jump shot, so be it. But we can't keep letting their best players beat us. And one other thing, why is it that every time we play a team at the Garden, it's always these random role players that just I don't understand. Like, what was it, McDonald for Indiana? We couldn't even pass the ball half court, right? So, if we could do those things consistently during the season, then I think maybe we have a chance. But it also really depends on who we play.
No, 100%. And I want to apologize for the Bucks game. You know, my cousin Marjan Beauchamp, he was just doing what us Beauchamps do. That's what us Beauchamps do. Us Beauchamps, we are winners, right? We go out there and we just win, right? But before we
you know what's really good about having controls of the buttons? That
I like your style.
Get the hell out of here, Beauchamp. Oh, my bad.
Oh, God. No, but before we continue, right? I want to add my man DSJ, because DSJ is here and he's backstage, and I've known DSJ for like 2 years, right? But it's kind of hard for me to remember how DSJ looks sometimes when I see him trolling in the chat. But we got DSJ in the building. DSJ, what it do, my guy? Salute. You just
on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good, man. We got the best troll in the game on the panel today. What's good, my guy?
Hey, just remember I troll with love. That's all.
Look, when you don't show up, it hurts my feelings, all right? I look for the DSJ troll. I'm like, look, there's no Lex Luthor comment in there today. So when you're here, it makes me feel good, DSJ.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I wanted to ask this question because I heard what you said, Smoove, and me, I'm a math guy. 1 + 1 = 2, right? So your complaint was issues with the rotation. Issues with in-game adjusting, personnel management. That sounds like a coaching problem to me, right? So the question I have to you is, if the offseason kicks off, Tom Thibodeau gets fired, who are you looking at to replace him with?
Great question.
Well, one person that I see that would be a good coach is Sam Cassell. I really like Sam Cassell. I wouldn't mind giving Johnny Bryan a chance because he has the team, as well. I feel like you noticed that when we started winning those games, Johnny Bryan made an impact on not only the coaching, but you saw some of his schemes out there on the basketball court. So I wouldn't mind giving him a chance. If the Knicks didn't go that route, one name that I would love to see is Udoka, because I think that coach right there, he really can get the best out of his players. If you remember Boston last year, Boston was sub 500 for a little while, and then as soon as Marcus Smart was holding his teammates accountable, then you saw a switch, right? And then you saw the team take off, and you saw the things that Udoka did, and also they made a trade with San Antonio to get White on that team as well. So Udoka would be a solid choice for me, but those would be my 3 names that I would like to see, but the way that we're winning games right now, you're just not going to see it. Tom Thibodeau is going to finish out his contract because he's brought winning. Whether you like it or not, he's brought winning this season. And, they're going to look at it as, well, why would we get rid of him now if we're winning? If you were going to get rid of Tom Thibodeau, they would have done it last year when we won 1 game in the month of February. So since they didn't do it back then, they're not going to do it now. So I hate to break it to Knicks fans, but that's the truth.
God, 1 game in February? Jesus.
I think it was 2, but yeah, it was bad.
But
might as well say it was 1.
Point to like a specific game this season, right? What game was it this season that you guys think Tibbs had his job saved?
Oh, it was the Cam Reddish
game. Yeah, the Cam Reddish game.
And then he DMPs him. What kind of nonsense is that, bro? How does Cam Reddish save your job and then you DMP him, bro? Like
I don't know, bro.
I don't even want to get into that one.
Is that the Philly game? Is that the Philly game? The one in Philly?
I don't remember who they played.
No, I think
going out.
It was right after we lost to the Mavericks. It was right after we lost to the Mavericks, Smoove. One of those games, right? And everybody was like, he needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. And Cam Reddish showed up. And like Cash said, I don't know if like Cam Reddish said something to like one of his nieces or something like that. But I really don't know what Cam done to Tom Thibodeau. Like
I already told you. I know. At the end of that game, he walked over. He goes, "I saved your job, bitch," and walked away.
I believe it. I believe
it. And when you look at Tom Thibodeau's contract, it's up after the 2024 to 2025 season. So we still got after this season, we still got a couple of more seasons left with Tom Thibodeau, but we got one more guest to the open panel. I don't got G Money, the walking encyclopedia. G Money.
Good morning. How everyone doing?
What's shaking and baking, G Money?
What's cracking? I'm doing fine.
So look, before I throw a question to G Money, DSJ, you threw the question out. And before I throw it to Cash to answer, I want to hear your answer, DSJ. I mean, do you have a game plan if Tibbs is gone? Who are you looking at?
Okay, so it's a bit unconventional, but I think the answer is already on the bench. But you have to look beyond Johnny Bryant, and you have to look at the guy that's been coaching Summer League.
True.
Because Daisuke Yashimoto, his system has been enough to where, and I know I see y'all shaking your head, but hear me out. Everybody complains about the whole Obi thing. Obi doesn't look like such and such, right? But when he looked successful, was in his run at Summer League, right?
That's true.
Averaging 20 points per game, 9 rebounds. He looked impressive enough to where it's not just dunks and 3-pointers. He was hitting you with, you know what I'm saying, the pick and roll, pick and pop, you know what I'm saying, pull up mid-range. So there was some kind of unlocking in his game that seems to have faltered once he got into Tibbs' system, right? You look at this year's this Summer League that just passed, and Quentin Grimes looks like a star.
He looked great.
Now again, I keep certain things in perspective. I know that he was doing some development work with Penny Hardaway down in Memphis before he got to Summer League, right? So with Quentin Grimes doing that and then implementing whatever Yoshimoto was implementing to where these guys are now competing in the finals of the Summer League, it makes me look at your system and, okay, well, why is it that your system makes these guys that you probably will get rid of in New York minute, why do they look so successful under his system than they do in Tibbs' system? What is it that he's able to unlock that these guys, for some reason, seem to thrive in? So implementing his system, I would love to see how that would look if you give him the opportunity. Plus, I also feel like we've been chasing high profile all the time.
I agree.
We're always looking for the big name. We're always looking for the big splash. And sometimes, just sometimes, you might need to take that incremental under the radar guy and build all the way up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the big name thing, we've been looking for home runs the entire time and we've been striking out. Or we've been looking for the home runs and we end up hitting a foul ball instead.
I want to say real quick, number one, this is why DSJ be dropping it, right? DSJ not only trolls, but when he has something he believes in, he gonna break it down for you. DSJ, I'm gonna give you a little sprinkle because I was dope take, but I'm gonna jump over to Cash. Cash is because I saw
before you go to Cash, right? I just want to bring in my man Searchin is in the building. Searchin, what it do, baby?
What up, bro? Nice to meet you.
You're muted right now, brother.
Definitely was muted. Yeah, 100% was muted. How we doing?
Chilling. But go
ahead. Show up and at least have a Knicks beanie on, you can be muted all you want, bro. It's all about as long as you got the right gear on, we're okay. Cassius, what do you think about his take on the coaching?
Knicks on this side.
I think he was on point, and I understand his perspective on it. I slightly disagree, only because the players on the dice are going to look a lot better than like an Obi Toppin because they get to run their own team regardless of the competition that they're playing. They're literally out there in the G playing night in, night out against competition, and that's really where development starts. So it's a totally different conversation about Obi because Obi just hasn't been done right by this organization at all. But as far as like the Miles McBrides, as far as the Jericho Sims, you see that development come in where they're ready to play. Game in, game out. It doesn't matter. Spot minutes doesn't matter, because they had that development time and that playing time. So, shout out to Dice for that. But at the same time, is he going to demand that respect across, the roster with the players that we have here? Is Julius Randle going to listen to him? I don't think so. Is Jalen Brunson going to take him serious? Jalen Brunson probably knows more than he does. That's just how I feel about it. So for me, personally, I just think it's right there on the bench as well. I think you just elevate Johnny Bryant, see what he has. And you can sacrifice a year or two, and if not, then get somebody who's ready to go. Get a Kenny Atkinson here to where he's not only able to develop guys, but at the same time win you games. And I think that's kind of where the team wants to go. They want to have development and win at the same time, and I think Kenny Atkinson fits that perfectly.
That was actually my outsourcing situation. Sure. I've been saying this. I'm sure the panelists can agree. I've been saying this in just about every chat for a while. The first thing I would do if I was the front office is at this point in time, I'm making the phone call to Golden State just to ask for permission, just to do the right thing and ask for permission to speak with Kenny Atkinson when the offseason hits. Because I feel like, just like you pointed out, there is evidence towards development and winning, and doing it in a time frame that suits both the players and also Knicks fans, where you're looking at, okay, a 2 to 3 year situation as opposed to a 3 to 5 year plan. Maybe in this two to 3 years, not only do you get to develop all your guys, but you might end up getting an all-star out the situation the same way he did for D'Angelo Russell's career. You know what I mean? The way that right now you can see that he's having an impact on Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. So, you know, those are the type of things that I look at as well. Points. And absolutely agree with as far as the outside guy, Kenny Atkinson, being one of my candidates.
Yeah. So
and
we
also
got some
with the Jeremy Lin too, because Jeremy Lin was a project all in itself, and no one else, no other coach was able to replicate what Kenny was able to do with him. So just want to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Do it, Bones. Leave work, Bones.
Smoove. Same question going your way. Smoove. Same question going your way about the coaching, and then afterwards, Jigga Man's gonna ask questions about the panel. We'll throw it to Chin, G Money, and DSJ. But Smoove, your take though when it comes to the coaching question that was just put up on by DSJ.
Well, as far as Kenny Atkinson, you can't go wrong because you saw what he did in Brooklyn. You saw that they had a young team. They were able to compete in the playoffs and that they developed, which is the most important thing. But you're never going to truly develop these young players if you have Julius Randle on his team. Because if Julius Randle is on his team, are we really going to get the best version of R.J. Barrett? Are we really going to get the best version of Obi Toppin? You're not going to see it because he's getting too many minutes. So in order for you to have that type of development, you can't have nobody in the way. It's the same thing when, before IQ started playing this role, right? You had Derrick Rose getting all these minutes, and then it took this long for people to actually see that IQ could, play good basketball consistently and run the point guard position. So I think it matters if you have that type of coach, who's in front of those players as far as development, right? Because Tom Thibodeau, we saw last year, he had Taj Gibson in front of some of the young players, right? So, again, like Evan Fournier, why was Evan Fournier starting last offseason when it should have been Quentin Grimes, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like, you can't have these veterans on the team if you want to develop. And if it costs if it costs you a lot more losses, it's okay because long term, you're going to be a better team going forward into the future. And a lot of Knicks fans, they're not patient because we've been losing for so long. So are they really ready for that type of development, for that type of season to where we might lose more games? Most fans are not with that process. So it's just my take.
I'll tell you one thing too as well, Smoove. I think the other part of it too is Tom Thibodeau specifically having a poor history of developing not only young talent, but young athletic talent. So to me, Obi Toppin has been the constant reminder to me of how Tom Thibodeau handled Tyrese Thomas in Chicago, right? When it comes down to him taking a job in Minnesota, I mean, he basically traded Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and
Laurie Marketing,
so that way he could bring the same team right back from Chicago to Minnesota. So now you get one season of Jimmy Butler, you bring in Taj Gibson, you get one playoff situation out of them,
and one playoff win. That's it.
And
DSJ,
for them to fight with each other in practice.
The facts, Chin.
We can use that on this team. I ain't gonna lie.
I got a question for DSJ. What you just said right there, right? Tibbs in Minnesota, he traded Larry Marketing, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and he also had Tyus Jones on that team as well, right? He got rid of all that talent for a 1-year rental of Jimmy Butler.
And Smoove. And Smoove, when it comes to Jimmy Butler, when it comes to Jimmy Butler in Chicago, when he was young, Tibbs had him on the bench for about 2 to 3 seasons before he started even playing him.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jigga. Start asking the questions. Go with my mind. Chin, over to G Money.
That's all right. I just had to get through that depression of hearing it again. Thanks, Smoove. All right, so let's look at ones, and then we'll go, around the panel here. But Jonathan's been throwing questions out. He always does. Appreciate Jonathan throwing out questions in the chat. Let's segue into this one. And you know what? We'll start first with Phil, your take on this, and then I want to go over to Chin and G Money, and then Chin, and we'll go around. But here's the question of the day: what is the future for Obi Toppin? And then someone's wearing the jersey, so it makes sense to talk about it. All right, how you doing? Phil, a big deep exhale out. Give it to me, Phil. All right.
See, it was so that was so fire. That was so fire. He was muted. I was so fired.
Phil's muted. He's how he wants to.
You're still muted, Phil. You see, spit bars.
All right, Smoove. You're like my brother, bro. Like, you showed up in that Toppin jersey. You watch every season. I have to make sure that I talk about how Obi Toppin is probably my favorite New York Knick because of what I know he could be. Like, I know he could be an elite talent in the NBA. And so my hope is not so much that Tibbs is gone for any other reason except for the fact that we could possibly salvage what could be Obi Toppin if Tibbs is gone. Like, that is my goal. Like, I want to see Obi Toppin thrive. I've said it before. Aaron Gordon, athletic-wise, very similar to how Obi Toppin played in college, athleticism. Aaron Gordon did not get a three-point shot until his 7th year in the season. Obi Toppin, without minutes, without true coaching development, developed it in 3 years on his own. If we can capitalize him as that player, the player who can be athletic and drive to the hoop and hit the three, he could be a freaking dynamite player for any team that's willing to put in the time for him. Like, imagine finding a coach that could help Obi Toppin with his ball handling. Like, put actual ball handling in Obi Toppin's arsenal, plus his athleticism and the fact that he can cut out to the three-point line, and you have an elite player. I think it just comes down to development. So my hope for Obi Toppin, and what I'm hoping to see, is that he starts to thrive and more teams start to reach out to show the New York Knicks what a gold mine we have in Obi Toppin if we actually give him his time. Because as great as Julius is playing right now, I see another 2 seasons with Julius before that all kind of fizzles out, and he's no longer able to be a number 2 on a team. Obi Toppin, if we develop him now, can be a number 2 option, a number whatever option for the next 10 years on a team. And that's what I would like to see for the New York Knicks. So that's my hope, and that's where my prayers go up.
All right, Smoove, hold it in, Smoove. I know you're ready. Cash, hold it in. I know you're ready. G Money, let me throw it to you. What's your take on Obi, bro?
And then throw it over the Chin right after.
Obi's a decent player. Obi's a decent player. He can fly. He can soar like an eagle to the rim. He can nail the corner three. He is a decent player and can handle the ball. My only thing with Obi needs to work on his defense a little bit, though. Needs to work on maybe getting a mid-range shot in there. Maybe try to get some post-ups in there. But Obi Toppin, I think if Obi Toppin could develop some more skills, he's a talented player. But if he can develop some more skills, he can and probably will be an all-star in the future, though. So my future with Obi, I say at best, if he can just add a few more skills in there, he can and will be an all-star.
Nice.
But he has talent.
Go ahead, Chin.
What you got, bro? What's your
welcome to the show, Chin? Appreciate you for tuning in, for jumping on the panel, bro. First time on the panel.
Yes, sir. Well, so I went to St. Bonaventure University, which is A10. Okay. So I was watching a lot of Obi in college. And the one thing I like about him that the Knicks lack severely is basketball IQ. I think Jalen Brunson probably brought all of it with him. IQ and Grimes, as they've gotten more time, it's hopped up. But Obi doesn't need the ball to score. He doesn't need to be the one doing the pick and rolls. He runs the baseline well and he spaces well. Nobody else on the Knicks does that. And so I wish, I think his production is really just, unfortunately, because he's not playing. And that's really comes back to Tibbs. So we're just kind of beating the drum on that one, that as long as Tibbs is here, I don't know if our guys are just going to develop, period. But I would love to see Obi just get more minutes, because I think he gets easy points because he doesn't need the ball. I was going to say this earlier. I owe Randall an apology. I have been saying that Randall is a real big problem for a while, which he's very, very good, but I do still call him a black hole. I think he gets the ball and then puts his head down. But in his defense, when I was at the Garden on
he's
Wednesday,
here for you. He wants you to talk to him directly. Go ahead.
When
you
I
better
was
you better put your
Wednesday,
iPad down, iPad, hide your iPad.
The only player on Wednesday that was moving when Randall had the ball was Jalen Brunson.
It's true.
The only player. When Jalen Brunson has the ball, nobody moves, and I think that's why we've seen a lot of Jalen Brunson ISO this year. But he's a point guard, so he finds guys. Randall puts his head down and scores. If people don't move, that's when we get those jump, two-handed overthrow, third row, out of bounds turnovers. So I would love to see Obi just get more minutes, because I think his play and just his movement will just add to the Knicks just kind of playing better in general, just being more fluid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Smoove.
100%.
Smoove. Yo, Smoove, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey. Go ahead, Smoove. Give us that Obi take, Smoove.
What about Obi?
Yeah. What about Obi?
I was waiting
for it. I think if you gave him at least 25 to 30 minutes per game, he could definitely be a star player in this league, because if you look at today's NBA, you don't need the traditional 5, right? So I'm not saying you got to play him, 30 minutes at the 5, but he's in a position where he can play the 3, he can play the 4, and against certain teams he can play the 5. When he got over 20 minutes per game, you saw it last year when he was getting, the full time, right? He was averaging close to 24 points per game, shooting over 50% from the field and from 3 as well. And then you look at this year, his jump shot got better. He just doesn't get the minutes. So I think there's no limit to his ceiling if you give him the time on the court. It's just you're never going to see it with Julius Randle. So until he gets, relative minutes, 9 minutes a game you're not going to see anything. So of course you're going to have a lot of people who are just about numbers and say, oh, well, he only averages 6.7 points per game, but you have to put context into it, right? What was his numbers when he got Julius Randle's minutes, right? And those numbers blow you off the chart, right? So I think if he can get those minutes consistently, there's no limit to his game, because obviously he didn't even have a jump shot when he came into the league, and he developed the jump shot. You saw that he can pass the ball, right? Now you're starting to see him play some defense because he just had a steal. He's able to rebound. But obviously, if you want to see it consistent, how are you going to see that getting 9 minutes a game? So of course, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, look at the numbers." Well, how about context as well? And he's a solid free throw shooter as well. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I will also criticize him. Right? I want to see you go to the basket, but your teammates have to find you when you're cutting to the basket as well. So it's a lot that plays into it. But for a player like him, if you put him on Indiana, the sky is the limit, right? Because look at how they play basketball. So it just depends on the system. We don't even run plays for him. No pick and roll, no pick and pop, nothing. It's just literally stand in the corner and just shoot the 3. How are you going to see your talent develop if that's all you're letting him do? It's like me saying to you, hey, I know that, you could dunk the ball and you can lay the ball up and you can play solid defense, but I don't want you to do any of that. All I want you to do is just pass the ball. It doesn't make sense if I'm not exposing all the gifts that you have. So until the coaching sees that, and the front office as well, they have failed him tremendously.
Facts. Cash, what's your take, bro?
He's right.
Obi Toppin has star potential, more than anybody on this roster, and it's not even close. Obi Toppin in the past 20 games in the beginning of the season was all over the national media, ESPN top 5, everything like that, highlighting him. And that draws attention to the team. That's something that was taken away by Tom Thibodeau, because instead of Obi leaking out, he has to now go back get rebounds, be a system player instead of a rhythm player. And basketball is a little bit of both, right? You kind of have to have both, but there's no flexibility in a Tom Thibodeau system, and that's taken away from what Obi could be. Because for me, if I'm a coach, I'm going to embrace what my players are good at. I'm going to expand on that. I'm going to make them elite at what they do, right? Because that's going to make me better as a team, right? So that he's not leaking out anymore. He's not getting highlight plays, and I got to watch Julius Randle ISOs and not be clutch at the end of the game. I don't know. To me, it's an easy answer, right? Like for me, it's just like, all right, I'm getting all the things that I want. It could be Julius Randle isn't tradable. I have no idea what his trade value is around the league. They could really believe in him. I have zero clue on how they feel about Julius Randle. But me specifically talking about Obi Toppin, he has star potential. He legitimately can be a household name in a year, right? Very marketable. Let's call it what it. Very good-looking guy. You know what I mean? Like ladies are gonna love this dude. Like it just is what it is. Like, and then we got Julius Randle with the attitude problems. Obi's always smiling. For me, it's just it's too easy, and I just don't understand the hesitation of the switch. It's not that he doesn't make you competitive, because he gives you the same production in less time. He just doesn't. What you lack in shot creation, you get in T-ball movement, and that's kind of my concerns with that. But Obi, I think, has all the potential in the world, man.
Facts, Hector. So, go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say that Cash said is like we don't run plays for him. And the problem is that he is more of a team player where it's not just revolved around ISO ball. And if you actually look at it, most of our team, we don't run plays for anybody. Like,
unless you're part of the mid-3, you don't have a play run.
I don't think we have a playbook. The playbook is if Brunson is open, take the shot. If Randall is open, force the shot. If RJ is open, take the shot. That is our playbook. That's why everyone can figure us out by the second half of the game. But when you have players like him and you get players like IQ on the court who kind of, you can tell, kind of debunks Tibbs' system and kind of like looks for plays that aren't actually in a playbook, that's when you see Obi and Sims thrive because they move without the ball and IQ finds a way to find them. IQ and Grimes are the only reason we actually have an offense because these young guys are willing to say, screw it, we're going to kind of still look for something that isn't in our playbook. Everyone else goes into that Tibbs system where it's like, we don't have actual plays run for these guys. That's why he would thrive on other teams because they would find a way to run a play that caters to who he is as a player. Until we do that, we're going to fail. We're going to fail our players.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's what kind of leads me to my next question because for me, again, you guys all know I'm the guy that shows up in the Twitter spaces, right? And I sit back. I listen. I like to hear the takes, and then sometimes I'll come up depending, if the drink kicked in or not before it's my turn. But I guess my biggest question is with our fan base right now. You've got such a divide when it comes to Obi, right? You've got the side that's just like, nope, trade him, let him go, move on. And then we've got the side that's hey, we believe Obi can be something great. It's been a while, I feel like we've had a player like that on our team that is so divided, right? Because whether you're happy or not, so many people were on the let's trade Randall, right? Let's be real. Everybody was on that fan base. As a whole, right? Toxic, not toxic, happy, sad. We all were like, all right.
We were all on the same page.
Well, right. You don't remember you don't remember the Jared Jeffries arguments we used to have back in the days about what should we No, but my issue, I wouldn't say an issue, but when it comes to Obi, and I'll throw it back to you, Jacob, for the next question. My thing with Obi and a lot of people don't point this out, when it comes to Obi, the first 2 months of the season, it's not Obi's fault that he was our best three-point shooter, right? We had no one to space the floor, especially with that second unit. IQ wasn't knocking his shots down. McBride still wasn't getting no playing time. Evan Fournier is god-awful right now. So Obi Toppin was the only person in that second unit that was able to space the floor. And if you're a coach and you know that you don't have no one else to do it, what are you going to tell that one person who could do it? Stand in the corner and get ready to shoot the ball. And that's what Tom Thibodeau did with Obi Toppin for those first 2 months. Now, once you saw Obi Toppin having some run with RJ Barrett, IQ started finding himself a little bit more. You saw what Obi Toppin could be. But we're never going to get there if he's just relegated to just 13 minutes a game. You're never going to see that for Obi Toppin. Like Smoove and Cash, we both said, we don't want, well, I don't want to speak for them, but me personally, if you're not going to trade Julius Randle, fine, don't trade him. But at least give Obi Toppin some more minutes. We're not asking for 25 minutes a game or 35 minutes a game, but the bare minimum could at least be 16 to 18 minutes per game at the bare minimum when it comes to Obi Toppin. Exactly, something like that. When you go ahead, 1 second. When you look at the plus 36 of Obi Toppin, his plus 36, he's averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds if he gets those 36 minutes per game, right? And I get it, plus 36, it just takes the numbers and multiply. You really can't go on it, but it shows you what it could be. Go ahead, DSJ.
Yeah, so basically, I just wanted to add on because I love what you guys are saying, right? So allow me to retort every time you have those criticisms about his points per game and all that stuff, right? I've never seen a player average 17 points per game off of 3 touches.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, DSJ went back to that math.
There you go.
I've never seen it. Now, for all the criticism that I know is going to happen, the Obi love and all that stuff, and he doesn't do anything but smile, or he's just a rim runner or something like that. Okay, what I fear will happen is you'll get your wish and you'll trade him away for Trey Lyles.
Possible.
And once you do that,
he
goes somewhere, he averages 20 and 9 and looks like an all-star. And the first question they'll ask is, why was he able to do that on this team? And the first thing I'm going to say is, I've never seen a player average 17 points per game off of 3 touches.
I like what you did there.
DSJ is a clown, bro. I love DSJ so much.
I got a question for everybody.
Very well thought out. I like that.
DSJ is right there, yeah.
I got a question for everybody in the panel, right? Because and you're right, the fan base is divided, right, when it comes to Randle and Obi. But no one has answered this question. Even if you trade Obi, what's your plan if Julius Randle gets hurt? What's your plan if he's in foul trouble? Or what's your plan if he just wants to sit out? What's the plan after Julius Randle?
We're going to trade for Taj Gibson.
Yo,
Go ahead, Phil. You can answer. Phil, you can answer that and throw it over the chin.
Segue. Yeah, it's a perfect segue because the final question was, what is that one position or piece realistically? Not the person, not the player, but is it a small forward? Is it a power forward? So that's perfect. What do you do? Phil, go ahead. Take it off of Smoove's question.
Tom Thibodeau is gonna persuade Joakim Noah to come back to the Knicks. That's what it is. Go ahead, Phil.
No, he's gonna move RJ to the 4. He's gonna move RJ to the 4.
Carlos Boozer is in training camp right now. Get ready.
Noah's definitely a possibility. As long as we got Derrick Rose on there, he was his wedding photographer. So call him up. So anyway. If we keep Obi, which my prayer is that we do, our target needs to be a small forward right now. Like, we need a actual small forward. If we are not going to play Cam Reddish, which obviously that's not going to happen, we need to stop seeing lineups where we have 3-point guards out on the field with 2 big guys. We need to actually get a small forward who's going to be great. My whole thing is, if we get rid of Obi, like you guys were saying, now we have to find a small forward and a power forward, because now there's going to be a huge gap in our forwards positions, period. And honestly, if you're going to trade Obi, find me another forward that could replace Randle that has as great of skill sets as Obi does when he hasn't even gotten minutes. I don't know another player that's going to be available to back up Randle at that skill set, especially at the price point that we have Obi Toppin. So it's time that we wake up and realize what we have there, keep him, develop him, find a small forward to come in off the bench so that our bench can actually have scoring power and defense. We need those bad. Our bench is suffering because we don't have an actual 3, and we need an actual 3.
Go ahead, Cash.
there's a name, Malik Beasley's popping up. Actually reported that before Ian Begley. So shout out to me. But
shout out to you, bro.
Shout out to me. Shout out to me being before Ian Begley. But no, that's a real possibility. There's relationships there. There's interest on both sides. I'm hearing Gary Trent, but I think that's more the fan perspective. I don't think there's any real legs to that. I don't even see how the Raptors even do something like that with the Knicks. I don't think there's really relationships on that side. But at the end of the day, you're right, Phil. Like we need a wing, but at the same time, I just don't see a move that really makes sense besides like a Malik Beasley, bro. Like there's nothing really out there. There's not a player of worth. I'm not trading Obi for a rotational guy. I'm not doing that. Obi's something that if you're not going to keep him, you put in a star deal. That's just where I'm at with that. Obviously picks and all that other stuff, an extra player or whatever. But yeah, man, I think they stand pat, bro, until the offseason. I think the offseason is when they're gonna look at this construction of this roster. They're gonna look at the win-loss record. They're gonna look at if they get to the play-in, playoff, whatever that looks like. They'll do an evaluation of what transpired through the entire course of the year, and then try to figure out what the next move should be. Whether it's let's say Randall is the same Randall he was 2 years ago in the playoffs, chokes it up. Let's say RJ chokes it up. Let's say, Brunson doesn't show up. Like they need to figure out how can we make this team better. But I don't think they're going to have that perspective until the end of the season. And I think that's when they start really shaking things up.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well,
Sir Chen had same question going your way.
Green.
Say again, Green?
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
I said the troll in me wants to ask, can I interest you in a J. Michael Green?
I'm good on that.
No thanks.
But Chen, throw it on. Chen, go ahead with the same question and then throw it over to G Money as well.
So actually, hold on real quick, Chin. Hold on, Chin. Guys, we had a cutoff and we're a little over with Smoove and Cashes. So I want to be respectful, let them get out of there and do their thing. Appreciate both of you hanging out with us today. We love everything you guys are doing. So please let those in the chat know where they can follow you guys and all that good stuff before you go. We'll start with you, Smoove.
Well, first things first, I gotta say thank you guys for letting us, come up here and giving us the opportunity to speak with you guys. This is definitely a great show to you guys. Hector, Jake, Phil, love you guys, man. I appreciate what you guys have done. And I'm always going to be supportive of what you guys are building as well. Thank you for letting us come up here, man. It's our first time doing this, besides one other time with Mo, right? So it's pretty dope to have this kind of experience, not only with you guys, but also G Money, DSJ, Chin, like you guys as well. So
appreciate that.
Anyone that wants to follow me is Smoove_Philly. That's where you can find me at. And listen, man. When you come into the Knicks Players Club, it's the best post game on Twitter. It doesn't matter about numbers. We want to hear your take, man. We want everybody to be yourself. And, me and Cash, we started this over a year ago. And, and it's only 1 year. Look at how big it's gotten, right? So imagine what it's going to be in 2 years or 3 years, and it's nothing but our people like you guys. So for me to you guys, I just want to say thank you guys for letting us come up here.
Appreciate that.
Smoove.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, just to mirror what Smoove is saying, man. It's been a pleasure working with you guys today. Definitely appreciate the invite over here, man. You guys know that you guys are always welcome on our show as well. Smoove, this is not our first time, so I don't know what that gave.
I said besides Mo.
Mo and Trippy, we've been on shows with Trippy as well.
Yeah, Trippy.
Yeah, so there you go. I was got fact check.
Trippy.
We got a fact check, right? But yeah, man. It's been a pleasure, man. We're definitely gonna love doing more and working with you guys with other projects and stuff like that. Phil, you already know the game. But yeah, man, you know where to follow me. It's just @_Cassius or whatever it is on the Twitter. If you guys want to follow the NYK Players Club, that's where we host all the shows. That's where all the shows are posted. Nothing else gets posted. It's just strictly about the show itself, where you can go and get your playbacks, record yourself, and then use it for your own media, whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Guys, when we say open door policy, we don't throw it at everybody, but open door policy anytime. And we'll be up in those Twitter spaces with y'all. And we're gonna be hitting you guys up, man. We start doing these watch alongs. We need to get a night where it's just all of us hanging out in that watch along, bro. Let's do a Smoove and Cash's players night. Let's go.
There's some things we gotta iron out, but yeah, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys, and
appreciate you guys.
We know we'll be talking to y'all. We got a game tonight, so we'll be in that spaces after the game tonight.
I'll see you guys then.
See you guys. Knicks by 10 tonight, by the way. Knicks gonna win by 10.
All right, from your mouth to God's ear, Smoove. Heard you.
10.
Dropping the
outfits. That was dope having the
you.
guys on. Let's pick the combo. We still got people in the chat. Everybody's on the topic still. We was about to throw it to who? Chin.
Right? Chin. What we're saying? G Money. Yeah.
What do we do behind Randall? Do we need a small forward? Power? What position do you think we need to bring in?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think small forward is no question. We've actually talked about it a couple times in the chat. I mean, we just don't have a small forward. It's Cam Reddish, and he doesn't play. He's the only player on the roster who is technically listed as a small forward, and he doesn't play. So we definitely need a small forward. Also, just to get back to what do we do after Randall? I mean, Obi is without question has the ceiling that we need. Doesn't have the minutes like we talked about. And I am on the send Isaiah Hartenstein to the wall, send him to Alaska, never let him come back. We're paying him 7.8 this year and 8.2 next year. And he's got a smaller 3-point percentage than Obi. He averages 3 more minutes a game. And I think he's even possibly paid the same, maybe more, because of Obi's rookie contract.
Yeah, because he was where he was selected. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just paying Isaiah Hartenstein to be Obi, right? A stretch 4, right? That's kind of it. They're not the same player, but the player that Obi could be is what we thought we signed, and he's just not it. So, I mean, we need to just take his minutes, give them to Obi, give them to Sims, and just get that guy off the court. Because the second he stepped on the court against the Pacers the other day, our lead went from 23 to 6. So it was crazy. Yeah. He got 3 fouls and a technical in about 30 seconds. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But sorry, I gotta.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We're on that same train. All right.
We're on that same train. Yep.
There's no heart for heart. Okay, not happening.
Ain't no heart for Hartenstein. Yeah.
Ahead,
but I mean, we got to get a small forward, but I mean, seeing Obi get more time would be great.
Yeah, I say small forward too. You need a small forward that can put the ball on the floor, that can create their own shot, that can get to the basket though. So I do think New York needs a small forward in there too. What about, I don't think this would happen, but I'm saying a hypothetical. What about Kyle Kuzma? Would you want Kyle Kuzma?
My issue with Kuzma, G Money, and I'll throw it over to DSJ to get his take on Kuzma. My thing with Kuzma is that right now for Kyle Kuzma, he is at a unique spot in his career, right? This is the first time in his career that he has been used as a number 1 or a number 2 option, and he's scoring his scoring average is over 20 points per game. I'm just not sure if Kyle Kuzma is ready or is willing to come over to the Knicks to be the 4th option, possibly off the bench for this team, while he is a starter on the team he's on right now and averages 20 points per game while being the number 1 or the 2 option on that team. Right. You know, I know Kuz, he's affiliated with CAA, and a lot of people say the CAA connection is strong, and I get that, but I just don't see Kuzma being the willing player to do that. What I do see is that one player that we should get, and DSJ has been talking about this for a while, is Mikal Bridges, because he's that type of player that he's not a number 1 option. He's not a number 2. He's a role player that's a defender who can knock down the shot when asked to knock down the shot. But go ahead, DSJ, bro.
So you already got my guy, Mikal. Another guy that I've mentioned before, especially for the sake of if you're doing the right deal, right? Is Harrison Barnes.
I love Barnes too.
Starting caliber small forward, which I think is really the position of need. Starting caliber small forward. You need somebody that can actually, project that position. What I would do personally is I would put RJ back at the 2. That way I can have that wing player, and the bench situation I can relegate Quentin Grimes to either the 2 or the 3. depending on the rotation. So that way I can keep that same energy, keep that same defensive level of intensity coming off the bench as I do in the starting rotation. And that would be my point. If whoever I get has to be a starting caliber small forward. And the only way to do it, unfortunately, would be we'd have to get rid of Evan Fournier. Sorry, I know it takes a lot of people in the chat to hear this.
That's it. I'm leaving. You want to trade my favorite player?
No, but I get it, DSJ, and we're gonna throw it around one more time. We're gonna do our predictions before we dip out. But Pudge, I think he means Harrison Barnes, not Scotty Barnes from Toronto. I think he means Harrison Barnes from the Kings. From the Kings right now. But let's do predictions real quick. Chin, I'm gonna throw it over to you for tonight's game, then throw it over to G Money and DSJ, and we'll wrap it up, Jig. All right.
What's the rosters looking like? Is everybody playing?
Yeah, everybody's healthy. Everybody's playing on both teams.
Well, we don't know. Gafford is questionable. KP is questionable. Beal's out.
Okay. Beal's out. Yeah, I mean, Knicks. This is one of those games similar to Indiana where I feel like they could get out to an early lead and then it might get a little more competitive. I'd like to say Knicks by like 5 to 10. But again, it's one of those teams where Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, even Porzingis, if they're just happen to be on from 3 that night and we're not playing good 3-point defense, that could be what keeps it close. But I would say Knicks by 6 to 10. I feel pretty confident about that.
Copy. G Money, same question going your way. What's your predictions for tonight? And then throw it over to DSJ, baby.
Yeah, I could agree with that though. I think Knicks around. I think New York wins by 6 to 10 points. I think it's gonna be a close game. I know the Wizards have kind of been mediocre, but they've been okay at home if you use eye test. So it's going to be a close game. And even though the Knicks have turned things around and they play hard, again, this is the same. Again, and I give the Knicks their credit. They're playing well. Again, they barely survived the Pacers. So it's like, you got to consider that, though. So I think it's going to be a close game tonight. I think Brunson has another good game. I think Randall comes out strong. I think R.J. Barrett is going to have his moments. I even think a guy that might break out tonight. Who knows? Could be Optimus Quinn Grimes. So I think that the Knicks win tonight, but I think it will be a barn burner.
Okay. DSJ, same question going your way. What's your predictions for tonight? And then we're about to wrap it up.
All right. So no Bradley Beal. Looks like another conditional win.
It does mean something.
Hey, a win's a win, bro.
But the fear I have is that a player like Denny Advia, who has no impact any other night, see what I'm saying, will come in here all of a sudden and drop like 31 points on us and have us scratching our head like, how did we lose by 4 off of his production?
Yeah,
I'm on the. I mean, I think we walk away with the win, right? Obviously, and again, we'll go with the DSJ route, the conditional win, like he likes to call it, right? I mean, they got no Beal, they got no KP tonight. Morris is out. They're missing their squad, right? So, and what's their record right now? I mean, I know we're.
It didn't say KP.
18-24.
18-24.
18-24.
Again, I do my math. I mean, I know I joke around, but I can see it again being one of those halves. We're up by 20 plus, and then we come back and we walk away with a 7 to 10 point win, right?
Yes, sir.
Do I hope it could be from beginning to end that we get to enjoy ourselves again on a Friday night? I'd love that. So my prediction is, I hope tonight's the night we see some more Obi minutes. I think we will see a little bit more. I think we see RJ get a little stronger, right? It was only his first game back the other night. So
great.
I'm expecting to see a win, but I can't sit here and say it's going to be a blowout, right?
It's going to be close. It's going to be close.
Yeah.
Who knows what can happen? It could be Cal. I doubt this. I'm sorry for interrupting. I doubt this, but who knows? Kuzma could have a 50-point game tonight. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, we've seen other players go off in the Garden against them. We've seen other teams go off against our team. SK, what it do, baby? But me, Prediction: Knicks win. It should be an easy win for us tonight. Well, I'm gonna take back easy. It should be a conditional win for us tonight, like DSJ say. But yeah, just go out there, play your game, and I just want to see Jericho Sims get more minutes than Isaiah Hartenstein. That's all I'm asking for. I don't ask for too much. I'm not that greedy. I just want Sims to get more minutes. But guys, we are wrapping it up right now. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Knicks Morning Brew. Sir Chin, thank you for jumping on the panel for the first time. G Money, you already know you are a walking encyclopedia. You are the future of this thing. And DSJ, the king of all the trolls of all the trolls. We love you, DSJ. We appreciate you for coming on. Cassius and Smoove as well. Appreciate you guys for rocking out with us. Jiggle Man, take us out.
Yeah, yo, so Monday we are going to do a watch long. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon game. We figured people should be off of work, right? It's a holiday or something. We all get together. So we'll put the word out for that on Monday. Man, appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Like, you guys so supportive and love just the interaction in there, right? Just the conversations that go on are great. DSJ, G-Money, Chin, appreciate you guys. Cash, Smoove, thank you guys. And hope everybody has a great weekend. And on that note, let's just go get ourselves a W tonight. Peace.
Peace.
What it do, Nick Nation? What it do? KOD Universe, stand up. And all you DJs, wake up and get your coffee.
I'ma slam on these goats like I'm John Starks. I'ma slam on these goats like I'm John Starks. I'ma slam on these goats like I'm John Starks. I'ma